no idea what the weather's like there, but everyone knows it's a beautiful day whenever the Bills play, and we are 2 hours away from kickoff. This is the Buffalo Bills pregame show on the Crowd Assist podcast, presented by Trainwreck Sports, sponsored by Picasso's Pizza. You see it on Maniac's background right there. Picasso's been serving up delicious pies for 4 generations, and don't get me started on the cup and char pepperoni. I really miss it a lot ever since I moved. I didn't get it delivered all the way to Long Island this time. Really wish I would have. So learn from my mistakes. Don't make the same ones as I do. Now is the time to support local businesses. Please do your part. Support our good friends at Picasso's. Kevin Masseri here as always. Kevin, we spoke 2 days ago on our crossover with Cody Felger. It was a great show. How you doing, buddy?
Living the dream, guys. Just listening to I Will Wait by the Mumford & Sons here, watching this video that everyone seems to be watching. So I had to get my time in, put my 4 minutes in to see what this one's about. But so far, all the feels, missed field goal in the Super Bowl I've seen so far. I've seen Sean McCoy running in the snow. I've seen a lot of different stuff here. Scott Norwood crying at this town hall. So, lots of feels here. And it just ran through a Justin Zimmer punch-out, so I'm ready to go.
This is a pro feelings, pro hype podcast, absolutely. Completing our tricycle today is the Maniac, the myth, the legend, Buffalo's Billy on the street. Maniac, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling just like Kevin. I'm a little bit in my feels along with the 60-plus we got tuning along here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. And I will say, my only take right now, I'm nervous for game time, obviously just under 2 hours away. Very thankful that this is a 1 p.m. game. I know that people wanted a primetime game where they're like, I would not be able to wait for a 4:30, an 8 o'clock, or much less a Sunday game. Get me out there. Get me in the hidden temple. Let me fight the temple guards. Get the N64 and get out of there with a W.
Good for you, Maniac, because I was on the vocal end of hating this time slot. I think it's just not the right justice to this game. It says the second highest over-under. I think it could be the second best game of the week. Lots of good offense. I think it's a bummer that government. I have people that work for banks and government jobs, USPS, that cannot get out. Like, it's contractual if they need to be there on Saturdays. And it's a bummer. Like, I think that this game deserved better than what they gave to these two markets. There's some worse games. There's Washington without a quarterback.
Yeah, right.
It's terrible. But you know what? I get the 1 o'clock thing. 1 o'clock on Sunday, 0 issues from Kevin. 0 issues. First game of the day tomorrow, no complaints from me. We're lucky to see Beasley and Diggs be able to go in this game because of that, but that could have been the difference. A lot of people are like, well, probably not with a knee. Could matter with COVID or a concussion, but it's not going to matter with a knee. I don't know. It's a day better for him, though.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm bummed out by the time slot. I get that it's the first game. That's the only saving grace to me is that we don't have to wait. As Mumford & Son says, I will wait for you. We don't have to wait for this game.
Yeah, no. If I had to wait, I woke up at 6, couldn't get back to bed ever since. So I really need this game to get here already. I'm in the feels. I'm nervous. I've been shaking. I've had like 4 cups of coffee. That's probably why. But I'm going to talk about the Bills, and that's the reason why. Maniac, I haven't talked with you about the Colts at all this week. Kevin and I had a show together, so I know how he feels. What was your first reaction to the matchup? Were you hoping for another team, or are you happy with how it shook out last Sunday?
I'm going to be honest. I liked some of the other matchups. I didn't mind the Ravens as much as some people did. I liked the Browns matchup. I liked the Dolphins matchup. But with that said, I'm confident against the Colts. Do I love that they have a great defensive front, which is something that's almost a key pillar to playoff success? No, I don't love that. Do I love that they have a two-headed, monster at running attack that could potentially, give them some success? Of course not. Do I love that Phillip Rivers is one of the most veteran QBs in the league, who does have playoff experience, despite this being the 5th coldest game he's playing at kickoff? No, I don't love it. But with that said, we've seen the Bills this year. We've seen them the past 8 weeks. This is a matchup where, based on what Josh Allen and co have done on offense, based on the way the defense is clicking, this is a matchup where Bills fans, despite 91% of the action being on the Bills spread, which is always a little cause for worry, I think Bills fans should be confident heading into this matchup today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely confident. I did write the one article, 5 things that Bills fans should know about the Colts, and my tone in that was just overly confident. And as I was writing it, I was trying to stop using all those, just that strong wording that just made me feel like this was going to be a runaway. because I don't think it will be. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I don't think the Colts are somebody we can overlook, as you said. Kevin, you appeared on Cody Felger's show as well as we had him on ours, so you've talked more Colts this week than anybody I know. What's one thing you've learned about them that people need to know about before going into this game?
I mean, the biggest thing about the Indianapolis Colts, and they'll tell you this, their media, their podcasters, they have weapons out the yin yang. It's nothing that they're, they don't have Stephon Diggs. T.Y. Hilton's not bad himself. He's been good in his prime. He's still pretty good receiver, still goes 800-900 yards. Great at this stage of his juncture, really good wide receiver too, but they have weapons everywhere. They have 3 tight ends. Bills have struggled against the tight end at times this season. They have a short passing game. The Bills led up 10 catches to Austin Eckler for 85 yards, or maybe even 15. It was double-digit catches for 85 yards to Austin Eckler. Something to watch out for is their receiving running back. That's something that probably is the most notable name that Phillip Rivers will use with pressure situations. Nyheim Hines, their third down back and receiving back. If he's in the game, he's going to be targeted. And then Jonathan Taylor, everybody knows about Jonathan Taylor now. It's a guy that Bills really wanted in the offseason. I really think he would have been their second-round pick. I'm still going to say that. And then they took the defensive end when he did go off the board to Indianapolis a little bit earlier in the second round. So there's a bunch of names to watch out for on this Colts offense. None of them would you take on your team? Yeah, you probably want to be on your team, but together and the amount of options they have is a really good system. And then you have Zach Pascal, their slot receiver. They're in good shape. The one thing I talked to Cody about, they can't afford injuries. It's a pretty weak roster on the depth front. They have good starting players across the board, really at every position. Fair to good starting players. I don't see a glaring weakness, maybe beside the left tackle spot.
And that's just because of injury already, too.
That's just because of 4 tackle injuries. And they're still in okay shape there, which is remarkable. But they cannot handle a single injury really anywhere. I was laughing about this off air. The one place they could maybe afford an injury might be at quarterback. I don't know that the game would be over if you had to see Jacoby Brissett play, at least at the end of the game or in the third and fourth quarter. I don't know. It's not the worst backup quarterback I've ever seen in the world. He could probably get it done in different packages, and then you add in the fact that Bills probably didn't game plan a lot for him. There's that factor. But they cannot be missed. They cannot lose a DB. They cannot lose an offensive lineman. They cannot lose a running back, Jordan Wilkins, on IR. On the COVID list. They're in rough shape on the depth front. If they come out clean and smooth, I think they still have a shot at this. However, it's cold. Injuries happen in the cold. At least short-term injuries can have muscle injuries. It's harder to play in terms of for your muscle and your joints. Shorter-term injuries can happen. If it's a little slick, you can see some of those tweaks and pulls. Luckily, those will save major injuries, like we've talked about with banged-up Bills, that slickness can save you an ACL or an MCL, but it doesn't mean that you're going to have not a short-term injury. We've all played in the cold before. It just hurts a little bit more, guys.
Phillip Rivers knows that more than anybody. I think I saw he's 1-5 in what we call cold weather games. So that's definitely one thing going the Bills' way. If there's one thing, like when I saw Rock Ya-Sin was going to be out, I was like I said, I was very unfamiliar with the Colts. I thought he was a starting cornerback for them. He really only played like 500 snaps for them this year. He was third in cornerback snaps for them so far this year. And the other two had like plus 900. So that's not as big of a loss as maybe Bills fans were hoping that would be. But still, that's one injury that if more start piling up throughout the game, that rotation is messed up, and it's going to be hard for them to handle that. But what I didn't expect, that Kari Willis was so good, that safety that they got. We pointed it out on the show on Thursday. He has 4 missed tackles all year. 4.5% of his tackles were missed. That's it. Like he is as reliable as it gets back there. I do think that we will be able to beat them deep because they are top 10 in 20-plus yard plays given up this year. So that's something that, if Bills fans are looking for a little bit of a silver lining or a way that, a little bit of hope in this game that we're saying might be closer than people think, I think that's something that we can point to. Maniac, what stands out for the Colts from you? We talked about, how the lineup is just pretty spread, pretty even value throughout. What sticks out to you?
And first, Maniac, we have Monster saying, "Let's go." So I wanted you to get in.
Oh, yeah. Well, Monster, I mean, let's face it. If there's anyone whose persona is literally summed up by "Let's go," it's Monster. It's our friend Joe McDonald over on Facebook and Twitter. He's chiming in. For me, it kind of goes back to, I think their defensive front is very solid. I think that if this offense for the Bills has been humming, it's been going full throttle, I think if anything's going to stop that, it's going to be that defense in front of the Colts. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say it, but I mean, I hope they don't employ a similar, defensive plan that the Titans did. A lot of zone defense to give Josh some trouble. With that said, if I'm the Bills, I'm coming out no huddle out of the gate. My team is comfortable. Mm-hmm. My team is in a groove. I want to kind of keep that going. I will say, guys, it is a little worrisome to be playing against someone on the other side nicknamed Maniac. That's all I'm saying.
Man.
Darius Leonard, give me some cause for concern.
So for the first time all year, the Bills do not have the Maniac edge in the game. So that is definitely something.
That's a push. That's a push.
Yeah, no, that definitely. I've seen the line come down from 7 to 6.5. So that's got to be why the Sharps got to be all over that. Obviously, the Bills aren't the only game happening this weekend. We have a lot to talk about going around the NFL. Could kind of shake out. We can talk about how we want it to shake out. Who we want the Bills to play next. Obviously, the Steelers-Browns game is a big game to watch. That could decide who the Bills play. If the Steelers win, it would automatically be them. If it's the Browns, then, of course, it would be the winner of Tennessee and Baltimore tomorrow at 1. I think Maniac ended that, so Kevin, we'll start with you here. Out of all the teams that the Bills could play, what is the most favorable matchup to you?
You got to look at Pittsburgh. They took care of them earlier. The offense is weak. They don't have a glaring thing that scares you. Are they a good football team? Did they get to their win totals? Yeah, they did. Mm-hmm. They lost 4 out of 5 down the stretch. One of them being with their backup quarterback against a Browns team who didn't look good either. But you don't get to draw the Browns. So the Browns are automatically on the Chiefs side of the bracket no matter what. So I would go Browns. Obviously, you can't score them as the 2 seed and the way you reseed. So you take them out of the equation. It's very easily Pittsburgh to me. I think Baltimore's as hot as one of the only other really hot teams to me on the AFC side.
Yeah.
So I think you'd like to avoid them. And number 2 would be the Titans. So for some reason, the Browns upset the Steelers, which isn't unheard of. I do think the Steelers are going to win that game.
Yeah.
You're going to get a matchup with the Titans or Ravens. I'd rather play the Titans, even though they did beat the Bills, and we've talked about this on this show.
Way too much.
Yeah, way too much. So we won't get into that. But I do think in the redemption game, with as bad as that defense is playing up here in Buffalo, added maybe even worse weather, potentially, at least cold weather. Mm-hmm. I like that game. I don't like playing the Ravens. They're kind of used to the weather a little bit, and they're built to run, really run, and they'll run differently. Yeah. It's not just run up the middle or, ground and pound. They're kind of struggle in Green Bay in the elements. It is a thing. So I'm going Titans number 2 if I can't have the Steelers. But guys, you got to pick the Steelers, even though they're the 3 seed. To me, they're more like the 5 seed if I was to. I don't even know that the Steelers are worse than the Colts, even though they did end up coming back and winning. They were down multiple scores in that game. Took some good, real lucky plays to get into it, as we like to talk about on this show. So they did do it. I think the Colts are better than the Steelers, personally. I think that matchup next week is one that I want with the Steelers, and one that's at least equal to the matchup you get today. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. It doesn't get harder to the AFC Championship game. To me, I want the Steelers to win, and I want whoever has the best chance to beat the Chiefs to play on the other side of the bracket.
Yeah, and to me, that would probably be the Ravens, just because they are probably the most humming offense in football behind the Bills right now. Lamar Jackson. Like I said it on this show at one point, I think maybe last week, the Ravens have decided that they don't need to prove to anybody if Lamar Jackson can throw the football or not. That's not their winning formula. Their winning formula is getting him the football and having him run it, and using Gus Edwards, using J.K. Dobbins, and, maybe a few deep shots to Hollywood Brown, but, he's got that nickname, but there's not a lot of the star power there with him, so, I don't love it, but... Yeah, no, I would prefer the Ravens to win, and I would absolutely prefer the Steelers to win. Kevin made all the points that I would have. Maniac, do you disagree with any of that?
No, I don't disagree with any. I would feel good Cleveland, Pittsburgh, or Tennessee at this juncture. I agree Baltimore is hot. With that said, I do feel a little confidence against Baltimore. Maybe it's illogical, but based on that game they played last year in December in Buffalo, I think that McDermott defense kind of handled Lamar Jackson for the most part. They did have a 65-yard touchdown to Hayden Hurst, which will obviously throw a wrench in any game plan. But yeah, I like the Ravens matchup. Going back to those matchups I definitely did not want Tennessee first round. So last week, when there was like that third quarter window of about 10 minutes, or fourth quarter window of about 10 minutes, where the Colts were winning and the Titans fell behind, I was very worried because that would have been a Tennessee first round matchup. And real quick, just for our viewers at home, because Kevin, you did make a great point that over-under for the Bills game maybe should have been a later game. I'm looking at their strategy for how they schedule these games, just talking about the around the league action. And with 6 games, they put both the highest over-unders as the first game of the day.
That's true.
My thought process is they want entertaining games to start off a 3-game slate. They don't want to bore you to death with a Chicago, New Orleans, or a Tampa Bay, Washington. I mean, those games might turn people off of the NFL playoffs. Instead, you get Indianapolis, Buffalo, and you get Baltimore, Tennessee. Baltimore looking for revenge from last year, obviously. 2 very juicy matchups, I guess I would say.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to kind of spin zone it into the Bills getting the 1 o'clock game as a compliment and not a diss to the city of Buffalo, I think Maniac laid that point out pretty well. You start talking about around the league action. We'll get into that. We'll talk about it. We're not going to pick the Bills game first, obviously. We always go around the NFL, pick the Bills game last. So 4 o'clock game today, that is Rams-Seahawks, if I'm not mistaken. Seahawks are 3.5-point favorites. Maniac, we'll throw the mic back over to you. Is John Wolford going to be enough to get the Rams into the divisional round?
It's going to be tough. I think that the over-under is telling 41.5 as well as the spread. I mean, let's face it, you got a backup QB in for the Rams. I mean, what the hell is going on? Give me McVay and that familiarity versus Carroll. Give me the Rams plus 3.5 and give me that over-under. Let's buy it up to 42. Give me the under 42.
On the under.
Interesting.
I got 31-20, the over in this game. I just think there's going to be a little bit of scoring. I think Wolford's going to have to make some plays. He looked okay in his break or in his starting situation last week. So I'm going to go Wolford.
Some would call it a big break.
I mean, I think it is a break coming from where he's coming from. But I got 31. That's a number I've been with this game, 31-20. I think there might be moments of action and interesting play in this game. 31-20 is one I'm sitting on. It's gonna bring the offense in this game. I'm just feeling it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about that in all my FanDuels and everything, and on Trainwreck Fantasy earlier this week, I said I loved Robert Woods as a value. He's a very affordable receiver for you guys who are trying to get your FanDuel lineups in. But it's every time, even when Goff has played, the matchups between the Seahawks and the Rams haven't totaled more than like 33 points. So I would probably go the under, even though
John Wolford. Don't you disrespect the Wolf?
Put some respect on the Wolf's name.
Oh man, he's got a hand symbol too. That's so unfortunate. I am gonna take the Seahawks. I think they'll cover. The spread's down to 3 now, so it's a little lower, but I think they'd cover it if it was higher. It's gonna be a low scoring game. It's even DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett struggle
with a backup
lot.
Quarterback at 3. Like that's got to be the worst spread of the day,
right? Yeah, no, and I mean,
it's very telling. It's very telling. It actually reminds me, and this goes each way. There was a couple years ago when Arians and the Cardinals made the playoffs. I think they were 10-6, and the Panthers with Cam Newton were 7-9. And they started John Skelton at QB, and they were covering most of the game, but Carolina pulled away at the end, and Carolina ended up covering the -6 in that game. So Carolina with Ron Rivera and that defense, I think they even had McDermott back then.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Was -6 at home against that. So very interesting with the backup QBs in the playoffs. They don't like to give a lot of points on those spreads, boys.
Yeah, they definitely don't. Even though the next game, Buccaneers-Washington, after it came out that it's probable that Taylor Heineke is starting, the spread moved from
the game's over right now.
Oh, the game's already over, yeah. The spread moved from -8 to -9.
You say that, but don't mess with Riverboat Ron. It's a 9.
You think? See, because I was going to pick the Washington football team to win this game if Alex Smith was playing. I really, really was. If you look at the Bucs, every part of their defense is awful except for the run defense. They give up top 5 yards to running backs, receiving yards at the very least. They have a bottom 5 secondary as well. And the Washington team, I feel like they're better coached. I feel like their defense is better. And in Alex Smith, if he was playing, it would be a great story. And I feel like, between Ron coming back from beating cancer, Alex Smith coming back and getting his cast made into the Lombardi Trophy, I just feel like they got so much moxie on that team right now. But it's Taylor Heineke, so you can't pick them to win.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you. I just can't feel. I didn't feel with Smith like you did. I have them covering. I have them at least coming out really strong. I have a 35-10 final score in this one.
35.
I just don't see Heineke, him being able to keep up with that Tampa Bay offense, as well as I do think there might be moments that the defense plays well in Washington. I just think that those weapons, what they're able to do on that side of the ball, is going to be too much, and that's a fairly easy one for me. Cover and Tampa Bay in that game. Real quickly though, before we finish picking this game, the Inactives did come out.
Nice.
For the game, and Fromm yelled in Terrell Dodson with the Inactives, so they're going with 5 linebackers. Jordan Debbie and Duke Williams, the 2 guys they brought up as safety valves, are inactive in this game. Tyler Croft and Trent Murphy, they're kind of 2 overpriced last year free agents that are inactive again, like we've seen all season. So that's the inactive list. Fairly healthy, with many healthy scratches there for the Bills. Actually, every single one of them is a healthy scratch.
Wow.
That's what you're looking for in the playoffs. You're not looking for the Sabres where you're calling up AHL defensemen. This is what you're looking for here with a fully healthy roster. You can't say that injuries got in the way here, guys. This is exactly what you're looking for. You're making harder decisions than you needed to make. You're deciding between backup linebackers that are similar and backup defensive ends that are similar and backup tight ends that are similar. So this is what you're looking for. This is a really good inactives list. It's healthy. You have the 6 wide receivers. So if someone gets dinged up in the game, you're not in horrible shape. This is the lineup you're looking for, and I don't see a single weakness as the Bills approach the Super Wildcard Weekend.
Super Wildcard Weekend, that's right. Maniac, who do you have in Bucks, Redskins, or football team?
If anybody knows me, they know that when I go against Jonathan Q. Public 100% of the time. 24/7, 365, 100% of the time.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, John Q. Public is running to the sportsbook to bet as much money as he can on Tampa Bay, -8, -9, -9.5, -6 with the teaser, -3. Give me Washington plus the points. I'll call it -9 since it's kind of spread. I see there's some with -8.5, some with -9. Let's call it -9. I think that, truth be told, it's a lot easier to admit this with Tom Brady in another conference, but Tampa Bay is playing their best football on the offensive side of the ball right now. They're kind of like the Bills of the NFC, dare I say. I mean, they didn't win the division, but they are playing their best football right now. With that said, I could see, up 14 and Antonio Gibson runs in for a touchdown at the end. So give me Washington plus the points, but I think Tampa Bay wins.
Yeah, that could be, if it was Alex Smith, like that would definitely be how I would predict it. Kevin and I put it in our picks on Tally site, and that's what I had, and I had to go back in and change it. Moving into Sundays,
you're coming for Tomset.
He honestly, shout out Greg Tomset, Cover One Podcast, being the number 1 overall and number 1 Bills analyst on Tally site, picking the Bills.
He kills it.
He's smart.
I try to compete with him, but he's really good at the exact way the Tally site platform works and his 3 selections. He's good at that.
Yeah,
I think I finished top 10 in over under of all the league, so that was good. And I think I finished 7th in calling Bills games, even though I'm 15-1. So I must have missed some spreads or some over under somewhere.
Yeah,
but yeah.
It's a really cool website. A lot of great analysts. Kevin and I put in our picks on there. I think Ty B does too. So definitely go on there if you're looking for some betting advice going into Wildcard Weekend. You get analyst recommendations like from all across the country, all across the industry. You can pick your team
too if you want to see like Colts bloggers or whatever. You can see. What the other team's saying in those games.
Yeah, really cool custom site to bring together all of the communities that a lot of these teams have.
And there are big names on there. It's not just Kevin and Greg. It's you're talking.
Whoa.
Yeah, there's ESPN guys on there, the SB Nation, like USA.
You're talking
from everywhere.
You're talking some of the bigger names. I think even like the Skip Bayless pick. Like I think you're talking like big names.
Yeah. So definitely go check all those out. My picks are going to be uploaded back up there as soon as we get off this show in about 20 minutes or so.
And I know we're winding down. I don't want to stop and say further. Just a real quick note on the inactives.
Yeah.
Bills fans have been back and forth all year. Do you pay Milano or are you going to end up paying Edmonds? I got good news. You get rid of Murphy and Croft, you got your money for one of them right there. I mean, just facts being facts.
You would have had more of that money if you took them off the books in August, but
hindsight's 2020, John.
All right, going into tomorrow's action, we got Ravens-Titans. I think this will be the best game of the weekend. Almost no doubt in my mind. Derrick Henry's had good games against the Ravens every single time he's played them, like over 150 yards and a touchdown nearly every single time. That being said, I do like the Ravens. That Titans defense is horrendous.
That's terrible.
And also, the Ravens are absolutely the best shot of taking down the Chiefs in the AFC outside of the Bills, in my opinion. So give me the Ravens all day. That -3 spread, I think that is a joke. I feel like that could easily be like 5 or 6.5.
Yep. 35-24, Baltimore, covering the spread, the over.
Yeah.
Love it all. Lots of offense. Just don't think Tennessee's going to have enough to get it done.
No.
Baltimore has them in every facet of the game, really. Maybe except the receiver position. But other than that, Baltimore has them, and it would take some weird, goofy turnovers, some weird play Tennessee's known to get. But I got 35-24. That's just a number that's with me. I'm feeling real good about that one.
Maniac, what are you feeling?
Give me 10 seconds. Why is this game between Baltimore and Tennessee so much different than last year? Just another year of experience for Lamar?
Yeah, another year experience. I think the Tennessee, how did they beat Baltimore last year? They played awesome defense.
Yeah,
they played
really
awesome defense.
They can't do that anymore.
Offensively, they're both probably the same as last year.
Okay.
Like
with that said, I'm going to take the under. I just think it's too much. I'm going to push on the spread. I got Baltimore by a field goal, so I'm not going to make a pick there. I think Tannehill's been playing out of his mind since last year, so I don't want to go against that too much. I think that these teams both try to slow it down, whether it's Baltimore when they have the ball or Tennessee when they have the ball. I think both teams are going to try and slow this down. So give me the under 54, 54.5, 53.5, wherever you're getting. But I got Baltimore by a field goal, Jake.
Wait, yeah, I don't know that other name. I don't know who you were talking to.
I don't know who I was talking about.
Game 2 tomorrow, Bears-Saints. I'm actually kind of excited for this one. I think it could be closer than people think. I don't know if Michael Thomas is playing. He's like still questionable. He might be doubtful at this point, honestly. But he did come off IR this week, so there's a possibility he suits up. I think Alvin Kamara is still a little cloudy too, and what if he's going to play or not. I don't know if he's officially off of the COVID list. No. And that directly affects. Oh, Kevin, is he? Do you know?
He's supposed to be tomorrow.
Okay, gotcha. That's what I figured.
But anything could anything could happen with this stuff. But yeah, he's supposed to play.
All right. I think obviously if either of those two don't play, that's a huge downgrade for the Saints. I do think the Saints are going to win, but I think that -10 spread is way too much. I have a teaser in right now. I teased it to have the Browns +16. I feel really good about that, especially. Or the Bears +16, I'm sorry. But yeah, give me the Saints to win, but the Bears make it interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Bears will make this interesting. I think that team is playing a little bit better under Mitchell Biscuits than we want to say. He's better than people say he is. He's kind of like a poor man's Josh Allen in terms of he's better than you think.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't like have a dog in the fight. He plays solid. The team's offensively has been so much better. David Montgomery's gotten going.
Yeah, he's good.
They get the play action going. Trubisky's an above-average QB. You try and force him in the pocket for 40 straight dropbacks, you're going to have a bad
Kevin's
day.
Prediction, he's in the league for 10-plus years. I think he'll be one of those Alex Smith, one of those Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Even like Mike Glennon's of the world. He's better than Mike Glennon. But you're going to see him in that kind of role. I don't think he's washed. I'd love to have him as a QB, too. I think he's a strong 1B. I like Chicago in this game not to win. I like him to cover. What is the final line? I know what I picked it at.
It is -10.
It's 10 right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's ridiculous.
That's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points for playoff
and
football.
An empty stadium. Stadium. Sorry, Peyton. No 50,000 incubated.
Yeah, I got them covering that. I do have them losing the game, but I do have them covering that 10 points. I really do like it 28-21 in this game. All touchdowns. I think it'll be close.
Sure.
They cover it, and that's me. I think it'll be closer than maybe even that score says 28-21, but that's where I have in this one, and I think that they're a couple plays away from being like, all right, that wasn't a terrible game.
Yeah, I think they could literally play like a tie game and have like a Taysom Hill, end around trick play to get a touchdown to go ahead. I see the Bears covering. I do like Mitchy Biscuits in this spot. The Chicago offense. I mean, dare I say, besides the Bills and a couple others, one of the hottest offenses in the league. I think they put up 30-plus points for their last 5 games heading down the stretch there. They obviously dropped one in Green Bay. Not going to bet against Khalil Mack making plays against that New Orleans Saints team. Give me the Bears +10 weight.
Oh God, yeah. Bears plus 10 is that might be the lock of the weekend, to be completely honest. That and maybe the Bills Colts over. I love that over the 51. I think that's easy money there. Last game of the weekend, it's going to be Pittsburgh, Cleveland, a rematch of last week, except Pittsburgh gets back their entire starting team. I think Pittsburgh wins. I think it's going to be an ugly game, though. It could be high scoring. It really could. Both defenses have been underperforming down the stretch. Pittsburgh's kind of regressing to the mean. Their schedule was so easy. They were probably the worst team that went 11-0 in NFL history, to be completely honest. But, they're still a solid football team. Ben has experience. They're starting to let him call plays more, and that's why they were able to come back against Indy. Give me Pittsburgh. The spread is +6 or -6. It's weird. It's a weird spread. It's the perfect number, to be completely honest. I don't know what I would pick there. I'd probably pick Cleveland to cover it, but it's nothing I would want to touch.
Yeah, I'm not going to bet this game personally, but I do think Pittsburgh takes it. I like them in this game. I think there's going to be some offense. There needs to be a little bit of offense in this game. I've got 35-28.
Oh, that's pretty high scoring.
Yeah, that's one that's been sticking out to me. Cleveland's going to score. They score points.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's going to need to. I like the way they've been moving the ball a little bit better now. And I think the fuller strength Ben will help a lot. That team moves as far as Ben moves, no matter who is at their weapons positions. You can talk about Juju Smith-Schuster. 35-28. It gets touchdowns again, but that's what I'm feeling good about. It's going to be an interesting game, but I do think Pittsburgh moves on and puts some pressure on the scenario of going to potentially to Buffalo, or they could host their own game against Tennessee or Baltimore.
Maniac, do you have the Pittsburgh Steelers as well? Kevin and I want to point out before you do it, he and I never, ever usually agree on like half of our picks, and we have agreed on every single one. So this is monumental for our chemistry moving forward. The cap is just getting stronger. Maniac, are you with us?
I don't doubt it. You guys, let's face it, you get a year under your belt, you're a little bit more solid than you were. That was why 2018 was so huge for Josh Allen. You get a little of those reps in, you're gone. Unfortunately, I think I got to go against you here. Again, I like I said, I made my angles clear. I go against John Q. Public. John Q. Public's watching the Browns right now. They couldn't even practice until yesterday. But how much does practicing really matter when you played them last week, Kev?
We saw them in Tennessee.
These guys are professionals. I think that Pittsburgh wins by 3 or 4, so give me the Browns in this match. I think Stefanski, and I think that Browns front is pretty good. I don't want to sound crazy, but Garrett goes without saying, and a couple others. I think the Browns front gets done, and maybe Stefanski, despite not being there, obviously he's still consulting the coaches, can draw up a couple of spots to get that offense moving.
Yeah, I don't think you're totally off base with that. Who knows how much practice matters right now with we saw Tennessee playing in a league-long 17 days between the Bills game and the prior game after their COVID outbreak, and they looked fine and fresh to me in a big game for them. So we'll see how much that matters. I think home field could matter a little bit more for them, but did want to comment for Cindy, came in saying feeling optimistic but very nervous from Cindy. JT is hot at the right time, and Rivers won't go out without a fight. I tend to agree with Cindy.
Definitely.
Those are kind of some of my sentiments that I've had on Cody's show, our show here today. I agree. JT's hot, and I do believe that Rivers. Could this be it for Rivers? Is he going to want to go out with a 7-seed wild card loss? I don't think as much, but I do believe this could be the last game or month we see Phillip Rivers.
You think how many under 1.5 tantrums today? And I'm talking about
over.
Arms flailing.
Is that the first half total?
Rivers. I want to see it all. And also to qualify a tantrum, he has to take at least 2 steps towards the ref. Doesn't have to run all the way up to him, which he typically does, but he has to at least take 2 steps.
I'm going 3.
Under 2.5. How many times is he mic'd up saying "Dag gun it"?
You only gonna get 1.
That's true.
No idea what that.
That's true.
Did you want to run through some props real quick, just for this game before we get our predictions? And I got them pulled up here.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so let's go with some of the unorthodox ones. Obviously, everyone betting the Bills ones. So based on their game plan, let's start with Wake and go with Kev. Do you have Phillip Rivers over or under 261.5 passing yards?
Wow, I'd probably go under. I feel like if they're going to be moving the ball a lot, it's going to be a lot through the running backs. And yes, Nyheim Hines did lead them in catches this year, but they still had relatively low receiving totals game to game. I think John, if if it's going to be as high scoring as I think it could be, I think Jonathan Taylor's really going on the ground. Nyheim Hines is also going on the ground. Rivers is probably going to be closer to like 250, but that 260 is a good line, I think.
He doesn't go over that much. I think I saw that he's only been over
it's a pretty big line for Rivers.
Yeah.
I think he's going to go over because I think he's going to have to throw.
He'll be behind, right?
Yeah.
Is the angle you're going?
Yeah. Tua in an awful performance with 380. I think you're going to have to go over. If he's under, I'm going to say this. I think it's a good sign for Rivers and the Colts if he's under, because
definitely.
That means they didn't need to throw. Now either they're up or some scenario there. If he's over, Bills win all day, no issues. That's a good number baseline to see how the game's going, because that means that they're not running the ball. Sure. So I have him over, and I'm going to go pretty confidently, but I have him over at about 280, 290. Does seem to be what his number, if you look at his game logs, tends to chalk in at.
Gotcha.
A lot of the talk this week for the Bills, rightfully so, obviously, about T.Y. Hilton. They actually have the second receiver here for the Colts as Michael Pittman. Now, I know that he's been a depth guy, but I didn't know he was actually their second receiver depth-wise. I've been impressed with him. I think he's got some good size and some good prowess for a rookie. Just so everybody knows at home, and you can also guess on these along with Kev and Wake, T.Y. Hilton's line is 4.5 and 56, so they're expecting him right about 4 catches, 55 to 60 yards. But for Pittman's line, I want the over-under from both of you right now. It's set at 37.5, and I think this is a reversal of what you just said, Kevin. I think if Pittman goes over 37.5, it's a great sign for the Colts. And if they go under 37.5, obviously that's a little bit more obvious for the receiver. I am going to go over because I think that they're going to go away from the T.Y. Hilton matchup with Trey, and they're going to try and get Pittman involved on some bubble screens and maybe some downfield stuff. Kev, and then Wake, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I got over because it's the number 2 cornerback. We all like to defend Levi Wallace on this community space. He's been awful to me. He does his job, like I said on Cody's show. He's a lanky zone corner who can break up plays and make an occasional really good break on the ball. But he will be known to give up passes underneath, whether it's scheme or not. We won't debate that. Yeah. But he's been known to let up catches in his zones. He's allowed. I saw some stats where he's allowed as many, and I think maybe it was even Greg that posted this, or Eric Turner, I can't remember, who posted that their numbers are pretty similar as Trey White's, like allowing 500 yards roughly, like 50 catches roughly, something in there just based on the zones that they play. But he just always looks bad. It's just an eye test thing to me. An eye test matters. I'm not a Buffalo Bills scout, but he is a eye test problem. I think Pittman goes over in this game. I think he's in the 80s, the 90s. I agree with me. He might be a focal point of their offense. We saw it with Preston Williams in Miami. We've seen it with other receivers as Philip Rivers, just like Ryan Fitzpatrick, might feel confident targeting that side of the field and that player. Even though he's not terrible, I don't personally like the way he plays and the way we scheme him. So I'm going, this is a pretty hot button for me. If they win the game, I said on Cody's show, that's a potential target. They're going to win it there, running the ball, and then they're going to win it there at that spot. So I have him over. And if he's, like, for me, if he's under, I almost think it's a good sign because I think that's their only big advantage. So I agree with what Maniac's saying, that in theory, that makes a lot of sense based on what I said about Rivers. But to me, he's their matchup probably that I don't like. I would do my best. I don't know that Trey shadows T.Y. Hilton. Yeah. So I would do my best to move them all around and see what happens, because maybe you get a T.Y. would be the only saving grace to this over-under prop, would be maybe you get a T.Y. on a Levi Wallace, because the Bills are like, you know what, whatever. Well, we're going to guard Pittman then with Trey. So I'm interested to see if he's following T.Y. all game. Very possibly does. Yeah. Or if they're just like, you know what, we're going to play our zones, we're going to play our corners, we're going to shade Micah Hyde or others, linebackers over in those zones to take away Pittman or take away T.Y. Hilton. So I'm not sure what's going to go. Long-winded answer on this one, because I think it's a key to the game. It is. In this situation. But how that cornerback 2 versus wide receiver battle plays out is a big one, and I think is a key to this game for the Colts.
Yeah, when you have a quarterback like Trey, it's always a big point for the quarterback 2 matchup.
You don't know how are we just going to go boundaries? Are we just going to go occasionally shadowing Hilton, all game shadowing Hilton? What kind of zones are they going to as a zone team? How much zones are they going to play? How big are they up? If they're up big, that will change whether he's getting shadowed. So those are all questions we'll see in an hour and a half here.
In an hour and a half. Oh my God, it's really that close. Yeah, I'm gonna go over for it too. He's a good red zone target. He's been reliable. He's earned the right to get some solid targets and snaps in a playoff game. He was a guy that I really hoped the Bills would draft. Honestly, I liked Pittman a lot, but I'm not going to be upset with how Gabriel Davis has progressed in his rookie year either. But I am going to go over both on catches and receiving yards there.
I like it. I mean, honestly, I think Pittman's a very good player. From what I've seen the second half of the season, they've only tried to implement him in the offense more, so I agree with Bex. Let me get one more from you guys before we get the predictions. I know I'm running over Wake, so beg forgiveness.
You're good.
Let me get Wake and then Kevin. This is a straightforward one. Will Phillip Rivers throw an interception? You have yes at -188 and plus at 148. Again, Wake, I'll let you go first. I think this is really a tale of how well the running game goes for Phillip Rivers and the Colts.
Yeah, and I feel good about the Bills' ability to at least contain the run game. I think it's still going to eat. I think Jonathan Taylor's still going to have a relatively good game, but it's all about limiting it and making it inefficient. I think that we'll be all right doing that. A.J. Klein, Matt Milano have really been tackling well. Tremaine Edmonds, ever since he's fully rehabbed from the shoulder injury, has been making more of his tackles. He started over pursuing them in a little bit in the year and missing a lot, gotten so much better. I think the run defense is going to be I have a feeling it'll be better than we saw it at the beginning of the year today. So that being said, Rivers is going to have to throw it more. He's going to have to air it out. And if we can just get to him a couple times, he had one scramble for 3 yards all year. We know he's immobile, and he gets the ball out super quickly. If we can stop him from doing that, he's going to throw a pick, and I think that we do that at least once. So long-winded. Going to go yes on the -80, but I don't love the line there, to be honest.
Not a lot of money to be made with that little low budget bet.
Mm-hmm.
I got yes all day. I think he throws a pick. He's thrown him in back-to-back games now against Pitt and Jacksonville. 11 on the season, so you're going to have a good opportunity. Yes should hit more than it's going to hit no.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, it means they're throwing the ball. I picked the prop on him to throw over. He's going to have a pick today. And I think that's in the way that the Bills have been taking away the ball in this season, and the way that his end turnover margin number 2,
Mm-hmm.
all that goes to say you're going to get a Phillip Rivers interception, and if not, you're going to get some fumbles because that means he's under pressure and he's eating the ball, taking some hits there. So that's kind of where I'm at with this one, guys. I think it's a fairly easy prop play to take that, but you're not going to win much.
Picasso's Prop Plays, brought to you by the Crowd Assist Podcast and Trainwreck Sports.
There you go.
And we didn't play cap or no cap.
Oh.
You totally ruined our segment.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's okay.
Hey, I'm here to do one thing.
It's ruin cap or no cap?
Well, actually, I'm here to do two things. Drink beers and ruin segments, and this beer is about done.
And usually they happen simultaneously. That's fantastic. We'll go into picking the game here. Obviously, right now, with how we all picked, we would have, if the Bills win, we would have them facing Pittsburgh in the divisional round. I do believe the Bills are going to win. I'm going to stick with my prediction. I think it could be closer than this, but I do like my 37-24 that I had on our show with Cody on Thursday. I think the Bills are going to get ahead early, and they're going to force the Colts to play a style of football they don't want to, and I feel really, really good about that. Maniac, how do you feel?
I'm very similar. I think the Bills start fast. I think they will score 21 in the first half.
Okay.
I think they kind of stumble a little bit in the third quarter, get another touchdown, 28. I think they get blanked in the fourth quarter as Phillip Rivers tries to mount his comeback. If you've watched a Phillip Rivers game, you know he's typically mounting comebacks in the fourth quarter of games. It's almost his MO. My prediction that I've been saying all week is the Colts will be at midfield at the 2-minute warning, down 28-17. I think they go get a field goal, don't get the onside kick. Bills win this game and cover 28-20.
Wow, he's got all those covered. All of them.
I don't know why. I think I've seen it in
Maniac,
a vision.
that's the under.
Yeah.
Well, guess what your boy's on?
Wow.
He's on the under. Wow. Jake said it was fairly easy money for the under earlier on the show, so that's interesting. I'm sticking with my prediction. 31-28. It's a prediction I've had all week. Feeling good about the over. I don't have them covering. But I do have a 31-28 game. I think it's going to be similar to what Maniac just said, actually, by a lot, but I don't think it's going to be 2017 at that point. I do think it's going to be 31-24 or 31-21, excuse me, at that point, and they will score that touchdown to get it to 31-28.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been on, and I've been consistent with that. That's how I'm feeling it. It might not be a threatening 31-28, but it could be. That onside kick and only needing a field goal is a lot more threatening than an onside recovery.
No Bills fan can say they wouldn't be feeling a little
on that onside kick down 3 or up 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Onside kick up 3, 54 seconds left.
Oh, that's way too much time. Come on now, baby. Let's go. Let's trust this process today.
But my trusting is they're going to recover the onside kick. So,
and Micah Heisel returner for a touchdown.
Onside kick attempt prop is pretty high in this chat room right now.
I like that.
For saying there is going to be an onside kick in this game.
Absolutely.
And I think you'll see it under 2 minutes. I agree with Maniac there.
Mm-hmm.
But down 3 for the Colts, they're not going to recover. The Bills are going to put those special teams playoff issues behind them today here. That's my one bold prediction. Special team shows out, and they need to redeem themselves from 1999 against the AFC South. And that's going to happen here today.
Yep, special teams will show out in my prediction with 37 points. That means Tyler Bass is making 3 field goals. Feel really good about him.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel good about him.
He's
really
good.
do. I like him.
That's bold.
It was a solid draft pick, honestly. For a kicker, I'm fully all right with how it's
that
going.
Salary, too. They're in good shape with Bass. He struggled a little early. Hasn't really missed lately. Mm-hmm. Great weather for kickers. Cold. Us kickers love kicking in this environment. Mm-hmm. Really shouldn't be misses unless there's a special teams blunder on the blocking and or holding and or snapping front, which we're not going to see with the Pro Bowler and Ferguson. So and I think we're going to be good to go. You're right. It's a good day to watch out for Tyler. Rookie kicker battle today.
Yeah,
I love that. Is that going to rear its head in? Rigoberto Sanchez is used to kicking in
Georgia. Yeah, in a dome.
Georgia and in a dome.
Blankenship.
He has no idea. This guy doesn't even know what lake effect means. He thinks it's like when you go out on the lake with some friends and have a good time. He thinks that's the lake effect. I will say I have all the faith in the world in Tyler Bass going into this game, but I think that Dable kind of avenges the fact that they settled for a bunch of field goals last year in Houston, and I think he'll turn those into touchdowns. I think that was probably a big focus this week.
Guys, he has his interviews with the Jets tomorrow. He
wants to put some great stuff on tape today.
Yeah. He wants to prove that he's better than Matt Eberflus, the other candidate in this game. That is a storyline I think you'll hear about.
That's true.
But it's one to watch. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, hot prospects for head coaching jobs. I think that's something to go out there and watch. And the fact that they have Rigoberto Sanchez and Rodrigo Blankenship will always confuse me, both as their punter and their kicker. Even Cody says it confuses him.
Yeah.
But Blankenship is their rookie college free agent kicker, who they did get a great value on to be able to be this effective as an undrafted free agent. Can he come to Buffalo in the playoff environment, in a cold environment? Like Maniac said, lots of differences and nuances there. I think you might see struggling from that Georgia kicker with the glasses.
Oh, those rec specs are so beautiful under the helmet.
But I do give him credit. Reminds me of our boy Ed Little over Agent Zero over at UB.
Love that. Love the UB reference there. We do have an hour until kickoff, so we're going to let you guys go. It's a good day for Bills.
Let's go!
Maniac said it all. Go Bills, guys. Get your Picassos for the game. Go Bills.